Alright, this is the fourth and hopefully final video of the Unit 8 test review. We're showing on number 29 here. It says we can rake the leaves in 70 minutes. The other guy can rake the leaves in 90 minutes. They work together. How long will it take them to rake the leaves? Well, remember when you're writing these that you're on the top, you're going to write a fraction. On the top is how long it takes them to do it together. And on the bottom of the fraction, it's how long it takes them to do it individually. And so we don't know how long it's going to take them to do it together. So I'm just going to call that variable t. But the first person can do it in 70 minutes. And then I still don't know how long they can do it together. So we're going to still call it t. But the second person can do it in 90 minutes. And after the equal sign, you want to ask yourself how many piles of leaves are they going to rake? How many yards are they going to do? They're just going to do the 1 yard. If they're going to do 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, you would change the number accordingly, but it's just 1 here. So I think the easiest thing here is to multiply by the common denominator of 70 times 90, which is 6,300. And when you do that, you end up with 90t plus 70t equals 6,300. So 90 plus 70 is 160t equals 6,300. So the t is just 6,300 divided by 160, which is about 39.375 minutes. We'll round that to 3/8. So they can do it a lot faster together than they could individually. Number 30 here. If R is the total resistance for a parallel circuit with 2 resistors of resistance R1 and R2, then 1 over capital R, the total resistance, equals 1 over R plus 1 over R2. Find the resistance R1 if the total resistance is 35 and R2 is 65. So I know that 1 over R, which is 35, equals 1 over R1, which is what I'm trying to solve for, plus 1 over R2, which is 65. So 1 over R1 is going to equal, when I subtract 1 over 65, I'm going to do 1 over 35 minus 1 over 65. And I'm just going to do that on my calculator. I'm going to let the calculator do the hard work for me. So 1 over 35 is that, minus 1 over 65 is that number. Math enters 6 over 455. So 1 over R1 equals 6 over 455. So when you cross multiply, you've got 6R1 equals 455, or if you prefer, R1 equals 455 over 6, which 455 divided by 6, it's about 75 point, call it 83 repeating decimal. And that's in ohms. Alright, and you should always double check your answer if you feel like you're getting something weird. So plug it back into the original equation, this one right here. So 1 over R1, which we said was 75.888888, plus 1 over R2 is 65, is 0.2856, which hopefully is pretty close to 1 over 35. And it is. So I can feel good about this answer. Don't forget your units, of course, is ohms. Alright, number 31 here. A group of college students are volunteering for Help the Homeless during their spring break. They're putting the finishing touches on a house they built. Working alone, Caitlin can paint a certain room in 9 hours. Brianna can paint the same room in 5 hours. Write an equation that can be used how long it will take them working together to paint the room, and then how many hours will it take them. So this is just like the problem above. So it's t over 9 plus t over 5 equals 1. And then to solve it, multiply it by 9 times 5, which is 45. That's going to give me 5t plus 9t equals 45. So 14t equals 45. So t equals 45 over 14, which is just about 3.21 hours, which is how long it'll take them to work together. All right. Number 32. The sum of the reciprocals of two consecutive even integers is 5 over 12. Right? An equation could be used to find the two integers and then find those two integers. So I'm going to say x is the first number, or the first integer, and x plus 2 is the second even integer. So the sum of the reciprocals of two consecutive even numbers. So the reciprocal of the first one is 1 over x. Sum means add. The reciprocal of the second one is 1 over x plus 2. And all of that equals 5 over 12. So this one's kind of nasty, but what we're probably going to want to do here is go ahead and multiply everything by this denominator of x times x plus 2. So when I do that, the x's cancel out, and I'm left with x plus 2. Still got the plus sign. The x plus 2's will cancel out. Still got an x. And then, of course, I've got 5 over 12 times x plus 2. So I think the next step here is combine like terms. That's going to be 2x plus 2 equals 5 over 12 x squared plus 2x. And now, I'm not really digging this fraction right here, so I want to get rid of this 12. I'm going to multiply both sides by 12 here. That's going to give me 24x plus 24. And then these 12's cancel out, so I'm going to just distribute the 5 now. 5x squared plus 10x. Now this is a quadratic, so I'm going to want to set it equal to 0. I'll do that over here. Still got the 5x squared. 10 minus 24 is negative 14x. Then subtract the 24. Believe it or not, this is something we can factor using the box method, which I'm going to do over here. And so we put the 5x right there, 5x squared, put the negative 24 over here. 5 times negative 24 is negative 120. So we're looking for the factors of negative 120 that add to negative 14. So in my calculator here, I'm going to do negative 120 divided by x. I'm going to go to the table. And I'm just going to look at these factors until I find one that adds to negative 14. And I'm seeing it right there. 6 and negative 20 is going to get me there. So I'm going to go ahead and write 6x right here and negative 20x right there. So 6, negative 20. So these two have in common a 5x. These two have in common a positive 6. These have in common just the x. And these have in common the negative, what is that, 2, 3, 4? 4. So this is going to be 0 equals 5x plus 6, x minus 4. And 24, 20. All right, so when I solve this thing, I'm I'm going to end up with x equals -6/5 and +4. Well, hopefully you realize there's only one solution that works there, and that's 4. Because first off, it has to be an integer, and second of all, it has to be even, and it has to be an integer. So this is an extraneous solution here. It's just x equals 4. So the first integer must be 4, and the second one must be 6. But we should double check that. I'm going to do 1/4 plus 1/6. And when I do math enter, look at that, it's 5/12. So these are the two consecutive even integers, 4 and 6. All right, let's jump over to number 33. The rate of discount R can be determined using the formula R equals 1 minus P minus D over P, where P is the regular price of the item, and D is the discount, or the amount saved off the regular price. Find the rate of discount, so R, on a sweater with a regular price of 33. So the regular price is 33. That's on sale for $29. So I'm going to subtract off. You might be inclined to put that 29 on there, but be careful because D is the discount. So if it's sold for 29, that means the discount was $4. So I'm going to subtract off that 4. So in my calculator, I'll do 1 minus 33 minus 4 divided by 33. And I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth, which is right there, so that's about 0.12 is the rate of discount, about 12% discount. Moving on to number 34. Complete the table for the function. I'm going to factor this thing out real quick. The bottom here factors is x plus 3 times x plus 2. I'm going to use the box method to factor this guy, just like I did on that other problem earlier. So I've got a 3x squared and a -2. 3 times -2 is -6. I'm looking for the factors of -6 that add to +1. So I think that's 3 and -2. So I'm going to put a 3x here and a -2x here. So, what do these guys have in common? Just an x. And these guys? Just a +1. What about these guys? That's going to be a 3x. And that's going to be a -2. So up here, I'm going to write 3x minus 2 times x plus 1. 3x squared, 3x minus 2. Yep. So the first thing you ought to ask yourself is there anything I can cancel? Because if there's anything you can cancel, then you've created a hole. But I don't see anything I can cancel here, so I'm going to say no. There are no holes. None. But there appear to be two vertical asymptotes, one at x equals -3 and one at x equals -2. Now, to get the horizontal asymptote, you're going to want to look at the original equation and ask yourself, is it bigger on top, bigger on bottom, or are they the same? And in this case, they are the same. So we're going to divide the coefficients. So x squared divided by 3 divided by 1 is just y equals 3. To find the zeros, there should be 2. We're going to take the numerator and set each factor in the numerator equal to 0. So 3x minus 2 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. Add the 2 divided by 3, you've got x equals 2/3, and x equals -1. So your two zeros then are -1, 0, and 2/3, comma 0. The y-intercept is pretty easy to find. There's two ways to do it. You just plug in for x here, or you do it the easy way and let the calculator do all the work, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go here and type in 3x squared plus x minus 2. Make sure you get the numerator in parentheses like that. Divided by x squared plus 5x plus 6. And if you go to the table, the y-intercept always occurs at where x equals 0. So there is a y-intercept. It's at 0, and that's negative 1/3 right there. So the domain is all real numbers except for the two restrictions that we listed of -3 and -2. So x cannot equal -3 or -2. The range, I want you to look at the graph to make that determination. And you might be inclined to say that this thing, because the horizontal asymptote is y equals 3, but if you look at the graph here, you can clearly see that it's going through the line y equals 3. So actually I think the range here is all real numbers. And we can confirm that by looking at the table here. You can see this function goes right through 3. Maybe? Thought it did. Where does it happen? It happens on the negative side, doesn't it? Yeah, right. Where did it happen? Aha, right in here? Maybe not. -1. Well, sure looks like it's going through 3 there. I'm just going to calculate the value at like x equals -1.5. Yeah, it is. Between -1 and 2, it looks like it's happening. So we can't see it on the table. But after -1, but before 2, this thing's going straight up. So I actually think the range here is all real numbers. All right, we've got 2 problems left, I think. Let's go ahead and knock these out. Let's see, so Tony's taking a day trip on the day of the Austin Marathon, and he's driving south on Mopac to the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center, which is 30 miles away. There was also construction on North Mopac. On the way back from the Wildflower Center, Tony drove 20 miles per hour slower than on the way to the Wildflower Center. The sum of Tony's travel time, north and south, was 4 hours. How fast was Tony driving on the return trip from the Wildflower Center? All right, so remember that rate times time equals distance. Make yourself a little table. And so we're going 2 directions. We're going north and south. Now the distance for both is 30. It's going 30 miles regardless. He's going south, and he's going back up north. Now, the rate, let's say that x was the speed driving south. So we'll put an x right there. Now, if that's the case, he drove 20 miles per hour slower on the way to the Wildflower Center than he did on the way coming back from the Wildflower Center. So maybe we should actually make this driving north. So let's say the speed driving north, so that would make this x, and this is x minus 20. Put that in there. And if that's x minus 20, that means it's 20 miles per hour slower. No, I think I've got that exactly backwards. Oops. Keep that as south, because it says that he's driving slower on the way there. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of all that. Start over. We'll fix that in editing. Rate times time equals distance. And let's try that again. So we've got going south, going north. And x is the speed he's driving when he's going south. Still going 30 miles both directions. But it says he's going 20 miles per hour slower on the way back. So this is going to be x minus 20. Now these times I can get by simply dividing here, because remember that if r times t equals d, then t equals d divided by r. So this is 30 over x. This is 30 over x minus 20. And you might be inclined to set these equal to each other, but you shouldn't do that, because it tells us something important. It says the sum of the travel time was 4 hours, which means that when I add these two together, it better equal 4. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, okay, 30 over x plus 30 over x minus 20 equals 4. And that's something we need to solve. So let's multiply both sides by x times x minus 20. The x's cancel there. We've got 30 times x minus 20. You've got plus x minus 20's cancel out, so that's going to be 30x equals 4x x minus 20. It's going to be a quadratic that I need to solve. But I'm going to go ahead and distribute everything real quick. 30x, 30 times negative 20, it's minus 600, plus 30x equals 4x squared minus 80x. And it's quadratic, so I'm going to get a 0 on this side. This is 60x, that's negative 600. So 4x squared minus 60x, negative 80 minus 60 is negative 140x minus 600. And can I take a 4 out of all those? Let's see, negative 140 divided by 4. I sure can. I'm going to divide both sides by 4 to get x squared minus 35x minus 600 divided by 4 is 150. So I can factor this. Two numbers that multiply to negative 150 but add to negative 35. No, I'm not going to be able to do that in my head. Let's just check it. Negative 150 divided by x adds to negative 35. That appears to be negative 35. Where is it? Oops. This was a negative, so that's supposed to be a positive, isn't it? Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because now we want a positive 150, which means I need to go in the opposite direction and get negative 5 and negative 30. So this is x minus 30, x minus 5. So we have two solutions here, but one of them doesn't make sense. 30 and 5. But if the speed driving south is 30, then speed driving north is 20 miles less. 5 minus 20 is negative 15, which doesn't make any sense. You can't drive negative 15 miles an hour, so we're going to throw that one out. X is 30. But make sure you've answered the question. How fast was you driving on the return trip from the Wildflower Center? So that's actually driving north. So the answer is 10 miles per hour. on the return trip, not 30. So there was an extra step there. You had to take the 30 and then plug it back into what we said, because it was asking for the return trip, not on the way south. So you had to solve for x and then plug it back in. All right, this is a really long video, but we're almost done. So thank you for bearing with me in my various disasters. Let's finish this up. Let's do number 36 and be done with it. Find h of x if h of x equals f of x plus g of x, let f of x equals x over x plus 3, and g of x equals negative 3x over x squared plus 9x plus 8. So I'm going to add these things. So h of x equals x over x plus 3 plus negative 3x over x squared plus 9x plus 18. I want to add these guys. So to do that, I'm going to need a common denominator. Hopefully you realize that this is just x plus 6 times x plus 3. So if I want a common denominator, I simply need to multiply the top and the bottom of this one by x plus 6. So let's say h of x equals x times x plus 6 for x plus 3, x plus 6 plus negative 3x, that's plus x plus 6, x plus 3. This becomes x squared plus 6x. So all this is going to equal x plus 6, x plus 3. So that's x squared plus 3x. Oh, but I can factor that a little bit further, can't I? I can factor out an x plus 3, so let's say h of x equals x times x plus 3 over x plus 6, x plus 3. And then these cancel out, leaving me with x over x plus 6, which I believe is the answer. Very last one. Here we are. Almost half an hour in. Using your answer for question 39, solve for x if h of x equals 4. Before we do that, we should double check this. Here's a way to cheat. I'm just going to add these guys together. X divided by x plus 3 plus negative 3x divided by x squared plus 9x plus 18. And in y2, I'm going to put x divided by x plus 6. And I'm just going to look at the table and make sure that they are the same, which they are. They are identical in every way, so I did it correctly. That's a good way to double check your work on the test. H of x equals 4. That means that h of x equals 4. So I'm going to say 4 equals x over x plus 6. And to solve that, I guess I'll just multiply both sides by x plus 6. That gives me 4x plus 24 equals x. Subtract x, subtract 24. 3x equals negative 24. X equals negative 8. Hopefully. Yep. Okay. I think we can feel good about that. But to double check, we've already got it plugged in the calculator. So we just want to go down to negative 8 and make sure that equals 4. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm going to go ahead and put a big old check mark on that. Well, that last one was fun. It took us half an hour, but we did it. Thanks for watching. Guess we'll see you next time. Good luck on the test.